A good musical theme can invigorate a fan base. Sometimes they are exciting melodies, like this iconic tune, or sometimes they're just short musical motifs that stick in the imagination. Musical themes have always been a tool in Western composers' tool belts, dating back to the 15th century, when a particular chant tune would become the basis for a longer musical work. The presentation and use of themes continued to develop in Western classical music over the next 4 centuries. Nowadays, when we talk about a main theme or character's theme, we're using the term in a way that can be traced back to late 19th century opera, specifically Wagnerian opera. Wagner made use of what he called leitmotif, which was a specific musical theme that accompanied a particular character and was present each time that character was on stage. In operas that often lasted more than 4 hours and had many characters and complex plots, these musical cues helped the audience keep track of what was going on. These leitmotifs were adapted for the screen with the advent of film in the 20th century, still being used to guide the audience through the story. Eventually, themes became an integral part of storytelling on the big screen. John Williams, in particular, has composed soundtracks as iconic on their own as the movie they were written for. Naturally, this trend carried over into the development of video games. Certain themes are immediately recognizable by a wide audience, while others tend to be a little more subtle or understated. Generally, though, the treatment of these themes has not shifted much since the 18th century. They can be manipulated and adjusted through techniques such as modal shift, meter change, augmentation or diminution, and others. In fact, because there are so many ways to adjust a musical theme, it's possible for composers to provide a wide range of narrative information without needing to develop a new theme every time. Let's look at one of my favorite video game series of all time, Mass Effect. As a warning, this video will contain spoilers for Mass Effect, so if you haven't played it and are planning to, pause this video, go play it, give my regards to Garrus, and then come back. Jack Wall wrote the music for the first 2 installments of the Mass Effect trilogy with Sam Hulick. Jack Wall and the other sound designers cited 80s sci-fi movies like Blade Runner and Dune as major influences, and Mass Effect's soundtrack blends those idiosyncratic 80s synth sounds with a modern action film orchestration. Let's look first at the main theme of Mass Effect. It's based on this ascending line, ending with a leap down. The first time we hear it is at the very opening of the game. It starts with the synth providing a regular beat, as the strings begin to build energy and momentum. When the horn joins, the synth switches to a more driving rhythm as it continues to build. crescendo is capped off with the synth lead providing this cascading pattern in 3/4, and then the horn presents the main theme supported by rhythmic violin bursts. The second statement of the theme is joined by the violins and is extended by an ascending leaps idea. It's interesting that the main theme is in triple meter, and it tells us something about the game we're about to enjoy. Most obvious to me is what it is not, and that is a square 4/4 military feel. Other games featuring military characters or settings often have march-like duple meters driven by percussion. By composing this theme in 3/4, Jack Wall is setting up the experience for us. Mass Effect may feature a military commander on a military warship completing military missions, but the plot and game experience are not defined by their militaristic components, and are in fact more nuanced, broader, and elegant than a standard shoot-'em-up. This is what the 3/4 meter says to me, anyway. The next time we hear this theme is during Shepard's induction into the Spectre program. It is essentially identical to the opening version, although in a slightly broader tempo and with a more rhythmically active snare drum. This is likely related to what I said before, as the more active percussion reflects the more militaristic proceedings of this scene, and supports the monumental moment for both Shepard and humanity. The main theme takes a back seat for the bulk of the rest of the game, allowing other themes for various characters and locations to become more prominent. Its next appearance is during the climactic mission on Vermeer, where we learn that Saren's ship Sovereign is not just a Reaper vessel, but an actual Reaper. It's subtle, so let's listen again. We very briefly hear the opening notes of the main theme quoted before they are diverted to a more sinister resolution. The implications of this are as ominous as the conversation Shepard has with Sovereign. The theme that represents what we know about the Mass Effect universe has been co-opted by our archenemy, a creature bent on our destruction. This coincides with the revelation that all the things the galaxy takes for granted and relies on, the mass relays, the Citadel, were put there by the Reapers to control the development of civilization. The theme appears briefly again during the ensuing fight against Saren. Correction, this track is on the original soundtrack under the title Battling Saren, but so far I've been unable to find where it happens in the actual game. Anyway, it's still interesting. Continue. The music for the battle mostly uses Saren's theme, which, if you played the game anything like me, you'll recognize as the music when you die. The main theme is hinted at by the horns. Interjected optimistically, and perhaps prematurely, since it is almost immediately assimilated back into Saren's theme in a very similar manner as the indoctrination method that we just learned about in the base. After the battle, Shepard and Saren grapple, but Shepard is able to get one last hit when Saren is distracted. Before Saren leaves, we hear one last blast of his theme as Shepard is left alone to help his team escape the bomb. As the timer counts down, a snippet of the theme in diminution plays, hurrying our heroes towards the Normandy and safety. Now, there is a trope in film and video game music that you're probably aware of, even if you've never noticed it directly. On the tvtropes.org website, it's defined as theme music power-up. Basically, the strength or ability of the hero is directly proportional to how epic their theme music gets. It gets done fairly often for final levels and boss battles in games such as Halo or Undertale. The main theme comes back at the end, either to symbolize the hero's strength in the fight or their tenacity in overcoming their enemy. Mass Effect does not shy away from this trope. The theme comes back after Sovereign has been defeated, as the Fifth Fleet, led by the Normandy, destroy it once and for all. It fades out as it appears that Shepard and his team are going to be hit by debris. As rescuers search for them, the theme comes back in just the strings and piano, bittersweet as we are led to believe that Shepard didn't make it. But come on, it's a trilogy! The strings and brass build again, leading to a full triumphant return of the theme as Shepard emerges victorious from the wreckage. The manipulation of themes has always been a driving force in video game score composition. An analogy can be drawn to cooking. Identical ingredients can result in very different meals depending on the cooking method, duration, and temperature. Modern composers are like chefs, recognizing which piece of the music can be adjusted in a certain way to evoke a different feeling in the story. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please tune in next time when we'll continue to trace this iconic theme through Mass Effect 2 and discover how it changes when new characters and new storylines get introduced. I'll see you in the next video.